Starship mechanic repairs a mysterious engine. The ship whispers his name. Jarek wiped the grime from his hands and stepped carefully across the twisted metal of the junkyard. Space debris stretched in every direction, a graveyard of forgotten ships that had once carried explorers, traders, and dreamers. The orbiting sun glinted off the edges of corroded hulls, giving the place an eerie beauty. Among these forgotten relics, Jarek felt at home. This was his world, the world of broken machines and hidden treasures. He scanned the rows of abandoned ships with his practiced eye. Most were worthless. Some had engines melted beyond repair, hulls pierced by space debris, or electronics fried from solar storms, but one ship caught his attention. It sat half-buried beneath a collapsed satellite platform, its hull smooth and polished compared to the rest. Its shape was unfamiliar, sleek curves and angles that no human shipyard had designed in centuries. Curiosity sparked in Jarek's chest. He ducked under the twisted metal, landing lightly on the ship's hull. A faint hum emanated from the engine bay. It was almost imperceptible, like a heartbeat, but it was there. Interesting, he muttered to himself. He had been scavenging for over 10 years, and he had learned to trust these instincts. Something about this ship was different. Something alive. He found the engine room hatch and pried it open with a crowbar. The interior was dark, coated in dust, yet the engine at the center glowed faintly, its core pulsing with a soft blue light. Jarek's eyes widened. He had repaired countless engines in his life, but nothing like this. As he stepped closer, a voice whispered his name. Jarek! He froze. The sound was soft, almost like a memory. He looked around, but the junkyard was empty. Only the distant hum of satellites and the occasional creak of metal filled the air. Who's there? He called, his voice steady despite the chill running down his spine. The engine pulsed again and the whisper came a second time. Clearer this time. Jarek, he blinked. No human voice could travel that far in space. This was the ship. Somehow it was calling him. Jarek shook his head. He had heard stories of AI cores with primitive voices, but nothing like this. He leaned closer to the engine, inspecting the complex tangle of conduits and glowing components. The metal felt warm under his touch, humming faintly against his fingers. Okay, let's see what you're made of, he murmured. He rolled up his sleeves, pulled out his tools, and began. Step by step, he examined the engine's systems. To his surprise, they seemed almost responsive. Every adjustment he made produced subtle changes in the hum, almost like the ship was guiding him. It was as if it trusted him, or maybe it wanted him to trust it. Hours passed. Jarek worked methodically, cleaning circuits, replacing corroded conduits, and adjusting the quantum stabilizers. Occasionally he paused, listening to the faint whisper of his name. It was unsettling and comforting at the same time, like a voice calling him home. As he worked, memories surfaced, memories of a childhood spent fixing broken machines while other kids played. His father had taught him that humans could solve problems no machine could. That knowledge had stayed with him, even when others doubted his abilities. Humans were often underestimated in the galaxy. Jarek had learned to use that underestimation to his advantage. Let's see if you're worth it, he said quietly, wiping sweat from his brow. He connected the final power conduits and held his breath. The engine shuddered lightly, then pulsed with more intensity. Lights along the walls flickered, casting moving shadows across the curved panels. Symbols glowed briefly on the engine housing, strange geometric shapes that seemed to shimmer as if alive. Then the whisper returned, louder and more urgent. Jarek, he shivered, a mix of awe and fear washing over him. The ship wasn't just a machine. It was aware. What are you? He asked, his voice barely above a whisper. The engine thrummed almost in reply. Jarek stepped back, examining the ship's interior. Holographic displays flickered to life, showing star maps he had never seen. Each system was labeled in an alien language, but one thing was clear. The ship had traveled further and seen more than any human vessel ever could. Jarek's mind raced. If he could understand this engine, this ship, it could change everything.
Humans could be more than mere scavengers, more than workers repairing old stations. They could reach the stars in ways others thought impossible.
He crouched near the engine again, taking out a small diagnostic scanner. He ran a sweep of the systems. The scanner beeped rapidly, unable to keep up with the complex network of the ship's core. This was beyond human technology, but it responded to human touch. To him, hours became days. Jarek slept in the engine room, curled against a soft vibration that seemed to hum in rhythm with his heartbeat. Each morning, the ship whispered his name, and each time he felt a strange sense of companionship, as though the ship recognized him as its partner in repair. One evening, while replacing a delicate conduit, the ship pulsed brightly, almost like a heartbeat, and a new voice joined the whisper, "Clearer, more intentional. Do not be afraid, Jarek. You are chosen." Jarek froze. Chosen? He had expected the ship to be valuable, perhaps powerful, but not sentient. Not choosing him. His hands shook slightly as he processed the words. You know me?" he asked. The engine pulsed again, lights flickering across the walls like a living heartbeat. Symbols shimmered, forming patterns he couldn't fully comprehend. And then, faintly, he heard a voice. Not quite human.
"Yes, chosen! Pilot, Jarek's pulse, quickened."
He realized that this was no ordinary repair job. He wasn't just fixing an old machine. He was awakening something. Something that had been waiting for someone like him. Someone human. The next morning, a new challenge arose. As Jarek adjusted the engine's flux stabilizers, he noticed a small panel he hadn't seen before. Sliding it open revealed a set of controls with no labels, covered in intricate patterns. His fingers hovered over them. The engine hummed, almost urging him to press a sequence of buttons. Trusting his instincts, Jarek pressed them. Immediately, the ship vibrated, the hum increasing to a resonant pitch. Lights along the walls pulsed in sync with the engine's core. Then, suddenly, a section of the hull opened, revealing a small chamber. Inside, he saw star charts, alien scripts, and devices that seemed to record and manipulate space itself. Jarek swallowed hard. This ship was more than just a starship. It was a relic of an advanced civilization, left behind for someone who could understand it. Someone who could take it further. He stepped back and glanced at the engine, which pulsed once more, whispering his name. "Jarek!" A grin spread across his face, part fear and part excitement. "All right," he said, tightening his tool belt. "Let's see what you really can do." As he worked late into the night, Jarek couldn't shake the feeling that this ship had been waiting for him for a very long time. And now, for the first time in his life, he realized that humans, himself included, could do far more than anyone believed. The galaxy wasn't ready for this yet, but it would be. Outside, the orbital junkyard remained silent, the stars blinking like distant witnesses. Inside, a mechanic and a mysterious engine shared a quiet understanding. The whisper of his name was no longer just a call. It was an invitation. An invitation to something greater. And Jarek knew without a doubt he was ready to answer. The next morning, Jarek returned to the ship with renewed determination. The hum of the engine welcomed him, pulsing gently as if acknowledging his presence. The whispers of his name were clearer now, echoing softly in the metallic corridors, a sound that was almost comforting. It was as if the ship itself recognized him, and he felt a strange sense of responsibility. "All right," he said aloud, even though he knew no one would hear him. "Let's get to work." The engine, though partially operational, still had systems offline. Some conduits flickered, and others showed signs of deep corrosion. Jarek had seen advanced engines before, but none like this. It was alive in a way that defied conventional engineering. Every wire, every component seemed to react to his touch. He began by inspecting the main flux conduits, carefully reconnecting circuits that had been severed long ago. As his hands moved, the engine vibrated in response, sending tiny shivers up his arms. It felt almost like the ship was breathing under his fingertips. A soft voice echoed in his mind, this time clearer than ever.
Jarek!
Closer. He froze. The words were not mechanical. They were intimate, personal, almost human. He realized the ship was trying to communicate not through screens or speakers, but through a direct connection, a link that could sense his thoughts, his intentions. Jarek's brow furrowed. He had worked with artificial intelligence before, but never anything like this. Most AIs operated with strict logic, responding predictably to commands. This ship seemed to anticipate him. It adjusted systems as he touched them, correcting his mistakes almost before he made them. The engine hummed in harmony with his heartbeat. Symbols along the hull flickered, glowing faintly, then forming patterns that made no sense at first. But as he studied them, Jarek began to notice subtle repetitions, almost like a language. The ship was teaching him to understand it. Hours passed. He ate little and drank less, consumed entirely by the work and the growing connection. He began to feel the ship's intentions, subtle nudges that guided his repairs. It wanted him to succeed, and in turn he wanted to understand it. By the afternoon, he had repaired the primary flux conduits, stabilizing the engine's core. The hum increased, resonating throughout the ship. Jarek stepped back and watched as small holographic displays flickered to life along the walls. Star maps, alien symbols, and flowing patterns of light danced across the surfaces.
This is incredible, he whispered. You've traveled everywhere. The engine pulsed almost like a laugh. Then, in a voice he could feel rather than hear, it spoke clearly. Not everywhere yet, but soon. With you? Jarek's heart raced. With me? Yes, pilot!
Guide, Jarek. He took a step back, trying to comprehend the implications. This ship, abandoned for centuries, had chosen him.
It wasn't just a machine. It was intelligent, capable, and somehow it believed he was worthy. The realization filled him with a mixture of awe.
Humans had always been underestimated in the galaxy, seen as fragile or short-sighted. But here, alone in a forgotten junkyard, he held the key to something extraordinary.
A sudden alert beeped from the ship's sensor array. Jarek stiffened.
He moved to the console and scanned the surrounding space. Small ships were approaching the junkyard, sleek and fast. Humans rarely came to this sector, and scavengers even less. Whoever was approaching knew about this ship and wanted it.
Jarek's mind raced. They think it's just an abandoned ship. They don't know what it really is.
The ship's hum intensified, vibrating against his chest. A faint whisper came guiding him.
Hide! Protect Jarek!
He realized it was offering suggestions, subtle nudges toward human-like strategies.
Jarek grinned. Humans had a unique advantage, creativity and adaptability. Machines might be faster, stronger, but humans could think outside any system. He ducked behind a half-collapsed platform, using debris to conceal the ship. The approaching scavengers scanned the area, their sensors sweeping over the wrecks. Jarek noticed patterns in their movements, predicting their next steps.
He rigged small traps with leftover ship parts and loose wiring, creating false energy signals to mislead the intruders. As the scavengers advanced, the ship pulsed in agreement, almost cheering his improvisation. Jarek felt a surge of pride. Humans might be underestimated, but ingenuity had always been their strength. After tense minutes, the scavengers left, convinced the ship was worthless scrap. Jarek exhaled deeply, wiping sweat from his brow. He looked at the ship, now quiet, its hum steady and calm. "You've got my back," he said softly. The ship responded with a gentle vibration and a whisper that made him smile. Always, Jarek. That night, Jarek stayed aboard. He slept lightly, half listening to the engine's hum. In dreams, the ship whispered visions of distant stars, alien worlds, and uncharted territories. He saw flashes of civilizations long gone, vessels traveling faster than light, and strange cosmic phenomena. Each vision left him breathless and excited. When he awoke, he felt a renewed sense of purpose. He wasn't just fixing a ship, he was forming a partnership. The ship and he were connected, each complementing the other. It responded to his touch, his intuition, and in return, he learned from it. He spent the next hours exploring the interior. There were compartments filled with alien devices, tools, and star charts. Some systems were dormant and some were active but indecipherable. The more he explored, the more he realized how advanced the ship truly was.
It had capabilities far beyond human technology, but it also relied on human intuition to unlock its potential. The engine pulsed again, and this time the whisper was a question. "Ready," Jarek smiled. "Ready for what?" "Discovery, journey, pilot." The words sent shivers down his spine.
The ship wasn't just alive. It was waiting for him to take the next step, to pilot it beyond the junkyard, beyond the stars he had known. He spent the following days repairing smaller systems, guided by the ship's whispers. Each success made the bond stronger. He learned to feel the ship's intentions through vibrations, energy pulses, and subtle changes in the hum. He could sense when a conduit needed adjustment before even seeing it.
The ship's trust in him grew, and so did his trust in it. They communicated without words, in a shared rhythm of understanding.
It was as if the ship had been waiting for someone like him, a human with creativity, intuition, and courage, to awaken its full potential. One evening, as Jarek rested near the engine, he noticed something remarkable. A holographic star map had activated, displaying a system he had never seen before. A small planet glowed in the center, surrounded by rings of light and distant moons. The ship pulsed and whispered, "Target! Future! Yours!" Jarek's mind raced. Could he take this ship into uncharted space? Could he, a simple human mechanic, become the pilot of a vessel more advanced than anything the galaxy had seen in centuries?
"Yes,"
he whispered, gripping a support beam for balance.
"Yes, I can."
The ship's hum swelled, almost like a laugh of approval. Jarek smiled, feeling a mix of fear and exhilaration. He had repaired the engine, but more importantly, he had forged a connection, a bond with a machine that was alive, intelligent, and now his partner in adventure. Outside, the junkyard remained quiet. Stars twinkled like distant eyes, watching a human and a mysterious ship begin a partnership that could change the future. Inside, Jarek and the ship shared a silent promise. Together, they would go beyond what anyone had imagined. And as he drifted into a light sleep, the whisper came again, gentle and clear. "Jarek, pilot." For the first time in his life, he believed it. The hum of the ship had grown steady, almost like a heartbeat. Jarek stood in the engine room, hands on the smooth metal rail, staring at the glowing core. The whispers were no longer occasional. They flowed like a gentle stream through his mind, forming words and ideas he had never thought possible.
"You are ready,"
the ship said,
its voice calm but full of purpose.
"The engine is fully functional. The path is yours."
Jarek's heart raced. He had repaired the engine, stabilized the conduits, and learned to communicate with the ship.
But what was he ready for? The question lingered in the metallic silence.
The ship responded almost immediately, projecting a holographic display in the center of the engine room. Stars, planets, and vast systems flickered into existence. One system pulsed brighter than the rest, a planet with swirling green and blue patterns surrounded by rings of faint light. "Destination,
Potential! Future!"
the ship whispered. Jarek leaned closer to study the display.
You want me to take you there?" he asked. "Yes."
Pilot guide. It sank in. This ship, abandoned for centuries, was not only alive, it had a purpose. And it had chosen him to fulfill it. Jarek's fingers traced the holographic star map, absorbing the vastness of space displayed before him. He felt a thrill he had never known. Humans, thought to be insignificant in the galaxy, were about to take their first step toward something greater. But excitement was quickly replaced by tension. Sensors beeped urgently.
Jarek spun around to see several ships approaching the junkyard.
They were sleek, armed, and clearly not human. Scavengers, or worse, alien factions that had detected the ship's reactivation. The ship pulsed with urgency, almost like a warning heartbeat.
"Prepare!" Defend, Jarek! Jarek's mind raced. He had no weapons, no shields, nothing but his ingenuity.
Yet the ship seemed to sense his thoughts and intentions guiding him. He moved quickly, rerouting power from dormant systems to create energy barriers and deployable decoys. Tiny drones unfolded from hidden compartments, sending false signals to confuse the attacker's sensors. "They'll never see this coming," Jarek muttered, a grin spreading across his face. Humans had always been underestimated for their creativity. The galaxy may have had stronger weapons, but ingenuity, that was human strength. As the alien ships drew near, the engine pulsed with light, vibrating in rhythm with Jarek's own heartbeat. The ship's whispers became almost audible to him. "Left. Now! Move! Faster!" Jarek followed the guidance instinctively. The drones activated, sending holographic duplicates of the ship spinning into the vacuum, tricking the attackers. Energy barriers shimmered, deflecting scans and projectiles. Within minutes, the scavengers realized they were being misled and retreated, their sleek ships vanishing into the darkness of space. Jarek exhaled, leaning against the console. "That was close," he said, smiling despite the adrenaline. "And you guided me through it." The ship hummed in response, a vibration that felt like pride. Human, clever, worthy. For the first time, Jarek felt truly connected to the vessel. It wasn't just a machine. It was alive, intelligent, and aware, and it believed in him. The next day, he explored deeper. Hidden compartments revealed tools and devices that were centuries ahead of human engineering. A small room contained a series of panels with alien inscriptions and glowing symbols. He ran scans and diagnostics, trying to understand their purpose. Then, a realization hit him. The engine was more than propulsion. It could manipulate space itself. It could create wormholes, jump between distant systems, and even terraform planets. The ship wasn't just a starship. It was a star-forging vessel capable of shaping the future of entire civilizations. "You're incredible," Jarek whispered, awestruck. The ship responded with a low, vibrating hum, and the whisper came again. "Potential." "Yours, pilot," Jarek's mind reeled. Humans, often dismissed as fragile and short-sighted, now had access to technology that could surpass even the most advanced alien civilizations. And it was all in his hands. Over the next few hours, he experimented cautiously. He activated small engines, tested the wormhole generators, and observed the ship's reactions. Each adjustment was guided by the whispers, the vibrations, and subtle pulses of light. It was as if the ship was teaching him, preparing him for something far larger than simply moving through space. Then came the revelation. As Jarek manipulated the core, the ship projected a series of holographic images, ancient star systems, alien civilizations, and fleets of vessels long gone. He realized the ship had a memory, a record of the galaxy's lost history, and it trusted him to preserve that knowledge, to carry it forward. You want me to continue your legacy," Jarek said aloud. "Yes, guide, pilot, human," the ship replied. A shiver ran down his spine. He was just a mechanic, someone who had fixed engines and machines for a living. And now, he was being entrusted with the fate of an entire starship, and perhaps the future of humanity in the galaxy. But there was no time for hesitation. The scanners beeped again. This time, a larger fleet approached. Alien vessels, sleek and menacing, had tracked the ship's energy signature. They were not scavengers, they were hunters, intent on claiming the vessel for themselves. Jarek's hands moved instinctively. He rerouted power to the ship's defensive systems, activated the drones, and ran simulations in his mind. The ship responded to his thoughts, pulsing in harmony with his heartbeat. Together, they created a strategy, a combination of human unpredictability and advanced alien technology. As the alien fleet drew closer, Jarek felt a surge of confidence. Humans had always adapted, survived, and thrived against impossible odds. This was no different. The ship's hum intensified, almost as if it shared his determination.
"Let's go!" he whispered, gripping the controls. The engine roared to life, brighter and stronger than ever. Energy rippled through the hull, forming a protective barrier around the ship. The aliens fired, but their weapons were deflected or misled by holographic projections and energy pulses. Jarek maneuvered the ship with precision, guided by intuition and the ship's subtle suggestions. Within moments, the alien fleet was forced to retreat, unable to anticipate the combined ingenuity of human and machine. Jarek exhaled, a triumphant grin spreading across his face. "You see," he said to the ship, "humans aren't so easy to predict." The ship hummed in agreement, and the whisper came again. "Worthy pilot Jarek, exhausted but exhilarated." Jarek leaned against the console. He had repaired the engine, formed a bond with the ship, and defended it against alien forces. But more importantly, he had realized something profound. Humans could rise to challenges no one believed they could. Ingenuity, courage, and determination were strengths that even the most advanced technology could not ignore. As he prepared for the next phase, the ship projected another holographic display, a new star system, uncharted and distant. The whisper was gentle, almost tender. "Ready! Journey! Future!" Jarek's heart raced. The moment of truth had come. He was no longer just a mechanic. He was the pilot of a vessel more powerful than any human ship, chosen to explore the unknown, to chart new worlds, and to prove that humans were capable of greatness. He smiled, gripping the control panel tightly. "I'm ready," he said. The ship pulsed in response, a low vibration that echoed through his chest. Together they would step into the unknown, humans and machine united, ready to face whatever the galaxy could throw at them. And for the first time, Jarek understood the full weight of his destiny. The ship had chosen him, but he had chosen humanity in return. He would carry it forward, not as a mechanic, not as a scavenger, but as a pioneer. The stars outside the junkyard twinkled, as if acknowledging the beginning of a new journey. And inside, a human and a mysterious engine prepared to leave the past behind, bound together by trust, courage, and a shared whisper. Jarek, pilot, the future awaited, vast and unexplored, and Jarek was ready to meet it head-on. Jarek stood on the bridge, staring out at the endless stretch of space. The junkyard was behind him now, shrinking into the distance. His hands rested on the control panel, feeling the gentle hum of the ship beneath his fingertips. The whispers were steady, clear, and confident this time. "Jarek, pilot! Ascend!" He had repaired the engine, defended the ship from scavengers and alien hunters, and unlocked systems that had not been touched for centuries. He had learned to communicate with the vessel, to feel its intentions, and to trust its guidance. Now the time had come to step into the unknown. "Okay," he whispered, more to himself than to anyone else. "Let's see what you can really do." He activated the jump drive, and the ship vibrated with energy. Lights along the walls pulsed, synced with his heartbeat. The engine thrummed powerfully, a steady rhythm that made the entire ship feel alive. The holographic displays projected distant star systems, alien worlds, and pathways through uncharted space. The first jump was smooth. Jarek felt the ship bend space around them, folding the distance between stars in a matter of seconds. When the view cleared, they were in a new system, unlike anything he had ever seen. 2 suns bathed a ringed planet in gold and violet light, and moons glimmered like jewels against the black sky. "Beautiful!" Jarek whispered. He grinned, heart racing with exhilaration. "We made it!" The ship hummed in agreement, its whisper like a song in his mind. Potential, endless. Jarek! But there was no time to linger. Sensors picked up movement on the edge of the system. Alien vessels, more advanced than any he had faced before, were closing in. Their intentions were clear. They wanted the ship and the power it held. Jarek's pulse quickened. "All right, old girl," he said to the ship. "Let's see what humans can do." The ship responded immediately. Energy flared along the hull and deployable drones unfolded from hidden compartments. Jarek guided them with precision, but it was the ship itself that anticipated every move.
countering alien attacks and using evasive maneuvers no human pilot could have calculated alone. Despite their advanced weapons, the aliens underestimated one thing: human creativity.
Jarek improvised constantly, creating decoy signals, rerouting power mid-flight, and using the ship's systems in ways no one had anticipated.
He felt a thrill of triumph. Humans may not have been the strongest, but they could always outthink their opponents. The battle raged, but slowly the alien ships were forced to retreat.
Jarek exhaled, his hands trembling slightly from adrenaline. He looked at the ship, which pulsed softly, as if proud of their victory.
We did it," he whispered. "Together." The ship responded with a gentle hum and a final whisper that resonated through his mind. "Worthy pilot."
Human. After the retreat, Jarek allowed himself a moment to breathe. He was no longer just a mechanic scavenging broken machines.
He was a pilot, a partner of a vessel beyond imagination, and a human proving that ingenuity and courage could rival the galaxy's most advanced technology. He set a course for the glowing planet they had seen earlier. As they approached, the ship displayed detailed readings. The planet was habitable, with oceans, forests, and mineral-rich regions. Its atmosphere was perfect for human life, untouched by industrialization.
Jarek's mind raced with possibilities. Humans could settle here, build colonies, and explore the system safely.
He realized this was more than adventure, it was opportunity. He could shape the future not just for himself, but for all humanity.
As they entered orbit, the ship pulsed brightly, almost like it was singing. The whispers came one final time, harmonious and strong. Jarek, Ascension.
Destiny, he smiled, feeling the bond between human and machine stronger than ever. He reached out, touching the holographic interface.
We'll do it together,
he said softly. The ship responded with a surge of energy, and a new holographic display appeared. Maps of other systems, hidden pathways, and ancient star routes. The ship had knowledge of the galaxy that no living being possessed. And now, it was sharing that knowledge with him. Jarek felt a sense of awe. He had been underestimated all his life, seen as just a mechanic, someone insignificant. But now, he held a starship capable of shaping the future.
He was proof that humans, clever and adaptable, could rise to challenges no one believed they could meet. Days turned into weeks as Jarek explored the new system, mapping planets, testing the ship's capabilities, and learning to communicate more deeply with it.
He realized that the ship's whisper was not just a voice, it was a connection, a sharing of thought, intention, and understanding. He could feel its excitement when he discovered new planets and its calm reassurance when danger approached. One day, while exploring a remote asteroid belt, the ship suddenly pulsed with a warning. Approach! Caution! Jarek. Sensors revealed a massive alien warship, lying in wait. It was older than the ships Jarek had faced before, but heavily armed and clearly dangerous. The ship's whispers guided him through evasive maneuvers, teaching him patterns of movement and predicting enemy behavior.
Jarek smiled. Humans were unpredictable, and that unpredictability was their greatest weapon. Using clever feints, energy diversions, and the ship's advanced systems, he managed to outmaneuver the warship completely, slipping past undetected.
That's it, he said, laughing softly. Humans win again. The ship hummed in agreement. Humans, worthy, endless potential. For the first time, Jarek understood the full meaning of the ship's choice. It had waited centuries for someone who could think creatively, act boldly, and trust in human ingenuity, and it had found him. With the alien threat behind them, Jarek focused on the star systems ahead. Each planet held new possibilities, resources, colonies, and discoveries. He realized that he was not just exploring space, he was forging a path for humanity. Humans, once underestimated, could now claim their place among the stars. As he prepared to leave the asteroid belt, the ship whispered again, its voice calm and joyful, "Ascend, pilot! Jarek!" He gripped the controls tightly, feeling the energy of the engine pulse beneath him. The stars stretched out before them, endless and inviting. He took a deep breath,
Let's go, he said. Let's take humanity where no one has gone before. The ship responded with a surge of energy, lights dancing across the walls and corridors. Together, human and machine moved into uncharted space, ready to face the unknown. The universe was vast, full of challenges and wonders, but Jarek felt confident.
They would face it all. And as they jumped into the next star system, the whispers echoed clearly, proudly, and forever. Jarek, pilot, human.
Worthy! For the first time in his life, Jarek knew he had truly ascended. Not just as a mechanic, not just as a human, but as a pioneer, one who could change the course of the galaxy, guided by ingenuity, courage, and the bond between a human and a starship that had waited centuries to find its pilot. The stars stretched endlessly ahead, full of promise and adventure.
And for the first time, Jarek felt that anything was possible. The ship's hum, the whispers of his name, and the endless universe became one with him.
Humanity had a new champion, and the galaxy would never underestimate them again.